I don't know my line. I'm completely.
Oh, it's so good.
I know. Okay.
A-listers who get paid the big bucks put a lot of hard work into their roles, right? Wrong, at least when it comes to memorizing their scripts. In fact, in this video, you'll find out that remembering lines is basically optional. Just ask Robert Downey Jr.
Got any other bad ideas?
There are actors who require take after take to get their scenes right, and other A-listers who just refuse to learn the script and wear an earpiece instead. No matter the reason, you're about to be surprised at how many of your favorite actors walk onto set and are constantly forgetting or haven't even taken a look at their lines. The best part? A lot of those moments have been caught on camera.
You lie. Sorry.
Nothing is worse when it comes time for a big speech or big performance and you just blank. Well, according to Gaten Matarazzo, his Stranger Things co-star Caleb McLaughlin had this happen to him quite a bit of the time.
Reset.
It's really funny when he does mess up his lines. Sometimes he'll have to physically regroup, and he says the wrong thing. He can't really hold Caleb accountable for being the only one to forget his lines. It happens to all of them now and again.
I know, it's hard.
Jennifer Lawrence swooped into Hollywood and impressed everyone with her apparently untrained acting skills. However, her Hunger Games co-star Josh Hutcherson made sure that the world knew behind the scenes, she isn't always perfect. Apparently J-Law is notorious for messing up her lines and would always jokingly get called out for it by Josh and Woody Harrelson. When she won her Oscar, it got even worse. According to Josh, whenever she forgot a line, Woody shouted things like, "Oh, better give that Oscar back," at her. This wasn't exclusive to the Hunger Games either. Check out these hilarious bloopers.
What is it? I talked to Eric. Eric, why are you getting closer to me? I'm obviously not acting.
Don't let KJ's impeccable American accent fool you.
Of course not.
Cole Sprouse gave fans the inside scoop on how bad KJ is at actually remembering his lines. His exact words were, "KJ doesn't remember any of his lines." However, it isn't for lack of effort. On the plus side, Cole did mention that forgetting his lines offered up a lot more opportunities for improv, and these hilarious bloopers.
KJ, you have a line after that.
Go on.
Epic.
Epic.
Robert Pattinson didn't have the greatest experience with Twilight. However, we're thinking that some of his Twilight woes happened because he couldn't memorize his lines.
Sorry, I can't remember anything today.
In an interview, he said, "When we do Twilight, there is always someone there who takes care of everything and feeds you your lines." When he left the Twilight set, he realized just how bad he was at remembering his lines. While filming Bel Ami, our Pats was expected to memorize his script. His response?
Impossible.
"I realized how rusty and slow my brain has become. The proof is in the bloopers."
What? For fuck's sake, what?
No wrong.
Wait for what?
Your line to finish.
Oh.
Tom Holland supposedly claims that he isn't the one who constantly messes up on set, but his Spider-Man Far From Home bloopers say otherwise. Before Peter Parker knew Mysterio was hiding something mysterious, their meet-cute was kind of adorable. However, it took many takes before Tom Holland was able to compose himself, remember his lines, and deliver a camera-worthy performance. Cole may find KJ's inability to remember lines humorous, but maybe that's because he's forgotten about his time on Friends. He had the biggest crush on Jennifer Aniston.
So intimidated by my crush on her that I completely blanked and forgot every single one of my lines.
But that didn't stop him from correcting the adult actors on set when they forgot their lines.
What is it?
You're part of Johnny.
Oh, yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. likes to keep himself on his toes. Like the Russo brothers said, Downey will never say the same line twice. While filming Sherlock, lines were constantly changing, so he opted for an earpiece and hired an assistant to feed him the lines instead of memorizing them. He brought the technique over to his Avengers films as well. The writers would even come up with alternate lines a few days before filming, so he'd be surprised each take. He chatted about it on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Pages and pages of stuff. I was like, give me an earwig. And it helped me with my accent.
It seems like the MCU has a bunch of actors who have run into some problems with line memorizing. To be fair, Mark Ruffalo has a pretty good excuse. His character, Bruce Banner, is constantly spewing scientific jargon that maybe a handful of people understand. Mark is not in that handful, which made remembering the technical words and sentences a huge challenge.
Xylo, pluripotent cells into a polysaccharide
Never.
Johnny Depp chooses not to remember his lines, plain and simple. Actually, the reasoning behind this choice is quite complicated. Johnny believes that if he memorized his lines, he wouldn't be able to portray his character through other parts of his body, like his eyes. It had to be behind the eyes, and my feeling is that if there's no truth behind the eyes, doesn't matter what the words are. For films, he hires someone to whisper his lines to him on set through an earpiece, so he isn't constantly wondering what line is next. It works. Take a peek at his list of blockbuster hits.
You can keep Barbosa, the belligerent homunculus, and his...
Harry Potter's very own Dumbledore isn't the spry fry he was in his early acting days. He's admitted that
I can't remember lines anymore.
It's even caused him to drop stage acting and be more selective with his movie roles. At first, wearing an earpiece like Johnny Depp and RDJ didn't sit right with him, but he gave it a try and now uses it for the majority of his film roles. Outer Banks actress Madelyn Cline had a few bumps in the road while filming her breakout Netflix series. She did a phenomenal job bringing Sarah to life, but it wasn't without ruining quite a few takes before getting it perfect. There's one scene in particular that revealed Madelyn's struggle with some of the show's dialogue. Check it out.
And war's always when... Me. And war's always... War...
Before Ashley Benson became a Pretty Little Liar, she started off on the soap opera Days of Our Lives, which made her realize just how important line memorizing was. By the time she landed her role on PLL, she was a pro. However, before that, her anxiety and panic attacks prevented her from being able to not only memorize lines, but to give a confident performance on set. I started getting panic attacks for 2 years straight. I could barely go to work. There was one moment on PLL where Ashley just couldn't deliver her lines. And the same went for the rest of the cast. Shay Mitchell says filming the final scene of PLL was almost impossible. Their emotions over the show ending were getting in the way of them even being able to deliver their lines properly. Shay said, "We were all trying to say our simple lines and couldn't even make it through because we were bawling."
The last camera shot was me crying, so it totally worked because I was already upset.
Rita Ora got her big acting break as Mia Gray in the 50 Shades of Grey films. However, it wasn't exactly a dream come true. She was so nervous and concentrated on not messing up her American accent that she was constantly forgetting her lines. She didn't have a huge amount of screen time, but for the scenes she was in, she had to wear an earpiece to get them right. I had to have someone in my ear telling me what to say before I said it. I was so nervous I forgot everything that I had learned.
I have no idea where I'm standing. You're right here. So good to see you.
Tom Cruise could not for the life of him remember his lines for the film Days of Thunder. It got so bad that it almost cost him his life. In order to be able to get the scene right, he would paste the script pages to the dashboard of his race car while driving extremely fast. One day, it caused him to get into a wreck that stopped production for 2 days. He ended up just opting for the earpiece to get the job done. So, does this mean that actors delivering emotional and long monologues aren't as impressive as the world thinks they are? Maybe. No one could have ever guessed that Johnny Depp never remembers any of his lines. We're still mind blown. Do you know of any other actors who have a love-hate relationship with their lines?